Y'all know y'all gotta look at my shirt. I like it. We come in subtle drip too. Y'all see my little mushroom? On today's episode of Boomies with CK, we are talking about Magic Medicine. It is a documentary, it is a movie, it is on Tubi, and it is free. So after y'all watch this video, make sure y'all go check it out. This documentary goes through the stories and journeys of, I think, like 6 people who are suffering with anxiety and depression. They're doing a clinical trial run to gauge and test the effectiveness of psilocybin on people with severe anxiety and depression. Now, in general, I think this film is literally on some like uncut, raw, unfiltered type of shit because it's just so up close and personal. You know, depression look different on everybody, anxiety look different on everybody, and no two people are the same. But I feel like the majority of the people who was a part of these clinical trials, they shit was like, shit, like, damn. You know what I mean? Like, some people like say that they know what depression look like, but it's hard to know what depression look like because every person is different. Like, you never know if people masking it. You never know, like, to what degree they suffering, to what degree they struggling. Like, this was just so up close and personal. It included the family of the people who were doing the trials, like their spouses. They went into detail about things that they never opened up about before, right? So before I get into super specifics with that, I'm gonna just give y'all some little notes that I took, and I'm just gonna comb through those. So let's do this. I know I mentioned that they are using people who have like depression and anxiety, but they also are running these clinical trials on people who have mental disorders. I saw in a video on TikTok that I've shared on my Instagram timeline multiple times, there was a girl who did some research and she basically found out psilocybin binds with serotonin receptors. Serotonin is what is the natural chemical that your body secretes when you're happy. It is the happy drug, right? That's why when people take Molly, they be like, oh my God, I'm so happy, because Molly increases the rate at which serotonin is released. There's an over release of serotonin. So in this documentary, they really comb through the science behind it, and when psilocybin binds with your serotonin receptors, it interrupts all the negative shit that is going on in your mind. I'm gonna put it in here so she can say it in her words, but it's really good.
This video is about microdosing mushrooms. Do you know how many articles I read? Do you know how many things I consumed to try and understand why microdosing mushrooms was good for you and good for your brain, especially if you have depression? Well, I have an answer. First and foremost, psilocybin binds to serotonin receptors. So your brain thinks there's serotonin there. That's number 1. Number 2 is all of the parts of your brain that are responsible for your 5 senses all communicate, and they try to put puzzle pieces together when there is missing information. Psilocybin and LSD disturb those communications so that they're not all trying to put puzzle pieces together that might not fit. So what does that mean? It means if you have depression, your brain is looking for reasons why you are not producing serotonin. Your brain is looking for logical reasons why you should be sad and is fishing for things. I'm not good enough, my life sucks, etc., etc. Psilocybin interrupts those communications so your brain doesn't look for reasons.
However, in this documentary, they are trying to stimulate serotonin receptors. They also mentioned that they were administering psilocybin via capsules, right? So they were microdosing, and that's one thing I do want to point out too. There's a difference between tripping and microdosing. What I do when I take shrooms, I'm tripping. I'm doing whole gram amounts. Microdosing is exactly what it sounds like. Micro, a very small dosage amount. So I really wish they had have clarified, or maybe I just didn't catch it, the amount. I know some people, when they microdose, they start with like 0.2 of a gram, 0.3 of a gram. Now, I do remember in this film, they were saying that every therapy session, it increased. So the amount of the microdosage was increasing every session because they were trying to really unpack a lot and see how different things would work. But one thing I thought was really interesting was that in like the pre-trial, before they really got to the meat of the therapy sessions, they gave them a pill to test their tolerance. I'm gonna have to do some more digging on that because when it was initially stated, I was like, wait a minute, appeal to touchable tolerance. How are they doing that? I feel like that's a real good idea. And it kind of made me curious, like, damn, I wonder what would happen or like what type of results would come up if I was to get my own tolerance tested, because I feel like I got one hell of a tolerance. Are they considering weight? Are they considering age? Are they considering, like, what are the contributing factors in order to be able to test tolerance for that? That's genius to me. Like, that's genius as fuck. So I'm like, damn, that got my wheels spinning. Now, in one part of the film, they did mention something about guided trips. They have what's called, and I wrote this down because, child, I ain't never heard this before, neuropsychopharmacology. So, neuro, I know that means with the brain. Psycho deals with your psyche. And pharmacology, obviously, is like prescriptions, medication, all of that shit like that. I never even heard of that. But during the therapy sessions that they were having, they was in this room. It had a bed. It was like a cool setting. Psychiatrist and a therapist, like, they both were sitting on each side of the bed, and they would kind of just like guide them through it, like talk them through stuff. And, you know, I feel like that part really kind of got super in your face, because one of the guys that's in this documentary, he was literally going through it, like screaming. I was just like kind of taken aback by it, because I was like, damn, you never know what people really be dealing with. And when I tell y'all, shrooms literally take you to your front door of your issues and shit that you need to address, that was literally the only thing that kept resounding in my mind. Like, how much shit has this person swept under the rug? How much shit have they been holding on to that they just never let go of? How much shit have they been dealing with that just been weighing them down? Like, it was so many questions that was running through my mind, because watching somebody struggle and suffer and go through shit like that on camera, it takes balls to be that vulnerable. It take a lot of balls to be that vulnerable. It take even more balls to face your own shit. And I really have to just applaud the people who signed up for the clinical trials. Now, I also absolutely love the fact that it was very transparent. You know how some films, you can tell that they're either filmed or edited in a way that supports the perspective that they want to portray, right? I don't feel that was the case. I feel like this documentary was about clinical trials with anxiety, depression, and mental disorders, and the effects that psilocybin mushrooms have in repairing that and reversing it. For some people, it was very successful. It worked for them. They were able to make a lot of progress and just reintegrate a lot of things into their life and start doing the real work of digging and addressing the things that have traumatized them, that have made them who they are, that were not the best versions of themselves, so that they could start working towards just being better. Not working towards being a version of themselves that they ideally dreamt of, but they're like, I just want to be better than I was before. I want to be better than I was yesterday. I want to be better at being able to spend time with my family and spend time with my friends, and I owe it to my kids and like shit like that. I feel like that was the most eye-opening shit. Like, everybody's experience was different. Every single person they experienced was different, and I love that. They also got to a point where they talked about how they were going to present their research. Their research was presented accurately. Like, this is the amount of progress we saw. This is the amount of regression we saw. This is how these patients turned out long term. This person actually relapsed. I use the word relapse because I don't really know another word to use right now in this moment to describe, like, going back to old shit that they was doing that's not drug related. Keep that in mind. That's the context of relapse. Backtrack. Let's use that. They backtrack. I think that this film overall, it really just opened my eyes to a lot. And one thing that I did notice that was very similar in the review of Fantastic Fungi, because I was saying that shit wrong the whole time. Fantastic Fungi. They did briefly touch on the fact that their research was shut down. They talked about the historical aspects of psilocybin mushrooms and how there have been interruptions in their research, the defunding of it, how it was, you know, all the stipulations that came and things of that nature. And this film talked about it too, which really made me start thinking like, something fishy's going on, because I kind of felt like the same way like people treated weed at first, like, oh my God, it's so bad. Weed kill your brain cells. It fuck with your ability to remember shit. It's a gateway drug. It leads to this. It leads to obesity because you get the munchies. And like all of that shit just sounded ridiculous to me. But then I kind of am starting to feel about psychedelic mushrooms the same way I felt about weed. There are a lot of factors that go into making something legal or illegal. And with shrooms being a Schedule 1 in a lot of places, it's the same with weed. The basic commonalities were the following. 1, weed and psychedelic mushrooms can both be grown at home, and Big Brother does not have control over how much you grow. They're unable to control how much you grow, the profit you make off of it, and they can't tax something that you could grow in your own house. It's the same reason why having your own garden in some states to grow your own food is illegal. If you're gonna do something that's not gonna be profitable for Big Brother, then we gotta make it illegal, because if I catch you, then I can really stop you from doing it altogether, because now I can instill fear in you because of all the stipulations that I can put on it. But then think about it like this. Once they figured out how to monetize weed, add tax to it, and be able to get a cut out of it, and be able to make all this money off of it, now it's like,
it's legal. It's decriminalized. Don't worry about it. You can have up to 28 grams on you at a time, depending on what state you're in. Just no more than an ounce.
like, bro, we could have been here from the beginning. Like, that's just the most money-hungry shit I ever fucking heard of in my life, right? And then on top of that, not relating it back to psychedelic mushrooms, not only can you grow them at home, but psychedelic mushrooms is a natural alternative to combating anxiety and depression in a more effective way long-term than antidepressants. And this film talked about that as well. They talked about how antidepressants made the people who was doing these clinical trials feel. They talked about the effectiveness of it. They even talked about how much each person was taking per day, the ways that it was affecting their body. Because I'm be honest with y'all, when there is something that can interrupt Big Brother and Big Pharma, they don't like it.
You think you finna fuck up our bag? You're not. You're not. You're not. No, illegal. Fuck it. No. Ha! You gonna take customers? You gonna take residual income away from us? Of course not. We finna ban that shit. No. Ha! I hope y'all niggas enjoyed it while you could, but yeah, y'all ain't finna enjoy this shit. If we can't enjoy it, our pockets can't enjoy it. Y'all motherfuckers finna be SOL too. Now, how about that?
Like, very much so. Back it up. Do you got a wristband? I think that's pretty fucked up, because while some people in the documentary, they regressed, at one point in time, had a little bit of progress. They had that glimmer of hope. Things were getting better for them. I feel like everybody deserved to feel that. I feel like depression kill people. Anxiety kill people. Mental disorders, they kill people. They strip people of their ability to enjoy life, to be able to fucking relax and fucking sleep at night and enjoy life in general. So I just feel like that's bold as fuck. It's the greediest shit, and to me that makes me look at people sideways, because it's like your morals so fucked up that you give more of a fuck about money and control than you do about progress. All the money that's being made off of these dispensaries and shit, we could have been doing that. Interrupting research that's helping people is selfish. That shit is garbage. It is the most morally corrupt thing that there is to me, next to bombing schools and hospitals and shit like that. I don't know, like, my morals are just set up different. I just feel like if you can make money off of it and that's your thing, make your money, but don't make your money at the expense of somebody else's life, sanity, or growth, or healing for that matter. Continuing from that, I do like that in this documentary, they came up with a chart to pretty much compare the harm to users versus the harm to society with different substances, because it technically is a substance. It is a drug. So there are other substances as well, like alcohol, heroin, PCP, you know, and the list goes on, cocaine and yada yada whatever. The number one cause of harm to users and to society is alcohol. It's alcohol. It's alcohol. Please, y'all, when y'all get to that part of the film, I just want y'all to be like, that's you did your shit with that point right there. Because honestly, I like the way that they compare the facts. They compare statistics realistically. Like, that's what I mean when I say uncut, raw, unfiltered. This is what it is. We're gonna put it in your face right here. This, now look at this and look at this. Compare. The numbers do not lie. I really feel like this film was just a harsh reality of depression. I loved it. It was very authentic, and I think a lot of people need to see it just to understand. It's a lot of stuff that I understand now that I necessarily didn't before. And if I took one thing away from this, someone said, stop feeding what you hate with hate. That just resonated with me for a number of reasons. It just made a lot of shit make sense. Again, this is Magic Medicine on Tubi. It is free to watch. I think everybody should check it out, especially if you're curious about the research that's being done about combating anxiety, depression, and mental disorders with the use of microdosing therapy and psilocybin mushrooms. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I will catch y'all on the flip side. Peace out.